Pay attention. Okay. You, if you go to Google Classroom, there's the video on how to put two pots together to make the body of the bank. There is a video on how to make the feet with the little hoofs on it. Okay. And now I'm going to show you how to make the head. Okay. Just going to do a pig, just a traditional piggy bank. I think I mentioned you could do, a goat or a horse with the hooked feet, But the pigs, probably just as easy as any. So I'm going to show you how to get started on that. Uh, First, just start with a solid piece of clay. Now, eventually I'm going to come back and hollow it out. Remember we talked about everything needs to be hollow, but it's a little easier to sculpt this when you start with the solid piece. So the basic shape you're going to start with is just the round spear, just a circle. Okay, that's the basis of the head. And really, the only addition, it's pretty simple form. The only addition is the snout. Is that the snout that comes out, and you can just take your fingers and just kind of pinch that out. Again, we're still just doing pinching primarily on all of this, okay? And the snouts are pretty flat, so you can kind of pat it down. And real quick, I've got the basic, look there. So you start with just kind of roughing it out with that basic form. You'll probably need one of your stylus tools. Um, the next thing I would do is come in here. You need eye sockets, okay? I just use my thumbs and I just press in. The eyes go right above the snout, and I just press in pretty deep, get them pretty deep in there, just like they were real eye sockets, pretty deep. And then I'm going to make eyeballs that go into the eye socket. Literally, they're just balls of clay. Okay. Make sure they fit in. You don't want them sticking out too far like that. So if they stick out like that, just make them a little bit smaller. Or you can open up your eye sockets a little bit to make the eye sockets a little larger. If they stick out too far, they tend to look kind of insect-like. Now, you want something to look like a mammal biologically. You want those eyes to be set further back in those sockets. One, two. You got two little eyeballs. Okay. Next step is I like you have to put lid. There's nothing holding those eyeballs in right now, so you have to put eyelids on top of the eyes. I just like to make little bitty coils with little points on the end like that. Just make sure it's over the top of the eye and press in and blend it back. Be real careful. You don't want to hurt this line around the eyeball. You want to press and blend back. Now, I'm not expecting you to move this fast. I'm moving pretty fast just so you'll have time to work on it. But I want you to take your time. So the eyelids really start to bring it to life. It starts to look a little more realistic with the eyelids. Then I come in and usually a little bit smaller eyelid on the bottom of the eye. Okay. This piece, you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to blend down, being careful not to, you don't want to mess up this line that goes right beside the eye. You want to keep that one sharp and crisp. Notice I haven't put any detail on this yet. You'll do that towards the end. Right now, I'm just doing kind of roughing the form out. In sculpture, you'd call that building up the form or roughing it out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and add a piece of clay to create the mouth. Blend it back. And I also like to come in here after I put that piece on and blend it down. And I like to extend that just a little bit further on both sides. That kind of creates the mouth. And then I come in and create the nostrils. The nostrils are not just circles, they're a little elongated. So just take your stylus, press it in, and kind of pull it down and pull it back up. That gives you the basic shape, okay? Next step, just come in and you're going to create these little flat, pinch out some little triangles like this, okay? They become your ears. This clay is wet enough so I'm not having to slip or score anything. I can press down, kind of just pinch them into place. One more ear, just a little triangle piece of clay. Press it in. If you get something you don't like, it looks a little funny. I mean, it's very easy. One thing I love about clay, it's easy to erase. If you don't like it, you just smooth it out or take that piece off and try it again, until you get something that looks right. This is the basic form. The last thing I would do is you can come in and start adding your lines, make it look a little more fleshy, like it's got some creases in it and stuff, some detail. And then the very last thing I would do is turn it over and I would hollow out the bottom. And you need like one of these loop tools. It's just a wire loop. Just support the piece in your hand and you can come up under it and just start digging out the clay. Okay. You want to dig this out until you get it about a quarter of an inch thick all the way around. Okay. So I'd keep working on that. Then you'll end up with a piece like this. Once it dries a little bit, you can come back and really work in your detail to it using your stylus. Once you open up the piece, you can come in with your fingers and like places like where I put little cheeks on him, you can press out a little bit to create a little bulge. So it looks like he's got some kind of expression on his face. Very last thing you would do is you're going to need, depending on, how this sits on your piece, you're probably going to need some kind of neck. I just used a little coil, part of a coil, and it's just going to support where the head goes. And I'll eventually come back and slip and score all this and blend it together. One thing that's very important though is this is hollow and this is hollow. What I want to do is open this up. I want to cut an opening here before I connect this. I want this to be hollow all the way through. I don't want a wall to be here because this will trap air inside and which could break the piece. So you have different options. You can take that loop tool again and you can just dig some of this clay out, or you can take your stylus. And I also have these fancy little tools that have different sizes. So if you have the right size, you can open that up with one of these. You gotta be careful you don't drop the piece in there though. And now this would be to a point where I could slip and score all of this and attach the head and blend it together. And I could come back after it gets leather hard, all of it hardens up, and I can add detail and work with him from there. Of course, I'd probably come on and work on a tail. I think you can figure that out yourself. And then we're gonna have to make this a piggy bank, of course, we're gonna have to cut a opening in it for the, now I would make the opening bigger than you think you want it. Okay, I'd kind of draw where you think it's gonna go. Different tools you can use, but this knife is probably the best for this. You just come in the top real carefully, straight up and down. If your clay's leather hard, should be real easy to open it up. I say make this opening bigger than you want it because one, it's going to shrink a little bit as it dries. And also, if you're going to actually use it as a bank, you probably want to be able to roll up those 20s and stuff them down in there. So last thing, I will get some corks for these, but we'll take the hole maker so you can get your money out one day. And you'll put a little hole in the bottom for the cork, okay? And this thing is almost finished. I've got I probably have another hour kind of detail and, finishing it up, but that's the basic design, okay?